Hey guys, it's Stacy from My Petite Garden. Thank you so much for watching this video. So today in this video, I wanted to share with you guys some of the plants that are currently in my collection that I find are some of the most unusual, weirdest, or quirkiest plants that I don't hear a lot of people talking about. So I wanted to highlight some of them today, give them a little bit of airtime. So I hope you guys enjoy. And as always, thank you for all of your support. And if you like this type of content, please make sure to subscribe, like, and leave a comment and we'll chat. So let's get started. So I'm going to start with two Codex plants. The first one here is a Sinningia. It has these adorable white, silverish colored fuzzy leaves that make you want to constantly pet it, and it does actually feel kind of like fur almost. This one has blooms for me, and the orange color bloom is very cute and dainty. Mine went semi-dormant during late spring and now it's back. It was originally growing in bonsai mix when my friend gifted this to me as a birthday gift, and since then I've had to repot it since the Codex had outgrown its original pot. I repotted it into my well-draining potting mix and it seems to love it as well, so I would say that this guy isn't too picky about its medium as long as it's not being overwatered. I water this very sparingly, about once every week to 2 weeks. And as far as lighting goes, it sits on the corner of my east-facing bay window, so it gets a decent amount of morning light for about a few hours each day. The second Codex plant that I want to highlight is my Stephania Eurekta. This plant is perfect for the minimal plant parent. I just think it looks great in any plant space, but it definitely gives me minimalistic vibes. It's also another easygoing Codex that grows back each season for me very easily. And like the Sinningia, it did go dormant during late winter, early spring, and then came back for me. For this particular one, I keep it inside an enclosure when it's dormant because I find that a little extra humidity does help encourage it to reactivate, so to speak, a little quicker. And then once it starts growing, I'll take it out of the enclosure, and right now it sits on my east-facing bay window. It is currently growing in bonsai mix, and I've also grown this in just regular well-draining potting mix as well, and it's done fine in both. I do water this guy about once every week to 2 weeks, just very little water, a little trickle here and there, mainly because this guy is sitting in a pot that does not have any drainage hole. Even though it is in bonsai mix, I want to be extra careful in terms of how much I water. I definitely do not want to overwater something with the Codex, so very little water, just enough to kind of wet the bonsai soil a bit, and then I leave it alone for another week or 2 weeks before I water it again. Next is the Avonia Paparazia, which is a kind of succulent that stays compact and small. The foliage is made up of these white silvery overlapping scales that has the texture of tissue paper, which I think is just so unique. The branches or stems are flexible, so they can bend and stretch in different directions as they grow. I have this growing in well-draining potting mix, and I treat it pretty much like a succulent in terms of watering and lighting. I did manage to rot this plant once before, so now I have to be extra careful about how much water I give it. I water this once a week, and just also keep in mind I have most of my plants in terracotta pots, so you may need to water more or less depending on the type of pot and medium it is growing in. It does grow very, very slowly, but I think it looks adorable just as it is, even if it doesn't get too big. This is my variegated Euphorbia Lactail. I have a total of 3 of these. Here you see 2 of them potted together, and I have one potted on its own, which you'll see later. I've had these since they were much smaller. They're also commonly known as white ghost or dragon bone euphorbia, and it's definitely not hard to see where the names come from. The variegation is absolutely gorgeous. These are the only thorny plants that I have, and the only ones I put up with because I do get poked by them from time to time and it really hurts. Which is also why I have not repotted them, even though both pots of these need to be uppotted pretty badly. I grow them all in well-draining potting mix and water about once every 2 to 3 weeks. They're also living on my east-facing windowsill. This is my Acacia Berkey Eye. I think this is a plant that is commonly used in bonsai. I personally love the foliage and the tree-like growing pattern of it. The leaves are very dainty and has a unique shape to it. It's actually kind of hard to describe, but it looks to me like a cross between a bean and a teardrop, if that makes sense. When the branches grow long enough, it also droops down like a willow, which I personally love. But I think in bonsai they would prune it back, which I might also do down the line to give it a more uniform shape. It is a fast grower, so I'm not really too worried about it growing back. I grow this in my well-draining potting mix, and I do find myself having to water this pretty often, almost every other day or every 2 days. Otherwise, the foliage will start to droop. The leaves are very thin and fragile, which tells me it probably doesn't retain too much water, which makes sense in terms of the watering needs of it. This plant is growing by my west-facing sliding doors in the kitchen area. This is my Hupergia Squarosa, or commonly known as tassel fern or tassel rock fern. It's got these long fuzzy fronds that makes you want to run your fingers through it, and I do that pretty often. Oftentimes people tend to grow these upside down in the pot so that the tassels can hang down, which I think at some point I really do want to try myself as well. Because right now, if you see, it's kind of just hanging over the pot. I've grown this in just sphagnum moss before, and now it's growing in well-draining potting mix. I'm still at the point where I'm observing how it does in potting mix, but so far it seems to do fine. I do water this about once to twice a week, and it sits in my first floor bathroom by a west window, but it only gets medium indirect light. The last plant that I want to highlight is the Cystis Quadrangularis. I think this is such an interesting looking plant. The foliage is made up of these separate segments that resembles arms reaching out to you. The texture is very tough and hard, which is so different than all the other types of cystis that I have grown. I find that this particular type of cystis does enjoy brighter light conditions, so I have it currently growing under grow lights on my bedroom plant shelf. I also noticed that if I grow it in lower light conditions, the little segments tend to grow very skinny, versus under brighter light, it'll grow much thicker. I currently have it in well-draining potting mix, and I water it about once a week. Alright, that will be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and please do let me know which one of these plants is your favorite. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!